Hello, hola Madridistas. We're live, and here we have today Vishal in the panel for our preview for the game against Athletic Club on Sunday, where we face off against them at the San Mames. So Vishal, things are all going bad for us so far in the new year, but how are you feeling right now after yesterday's win?
Yeah, at some point I remember saying, I think it was the first time I did the pod with you guys. I was like, this month's gonna be a little crazy. And yeah, so far it has been. Yesterday's result was encouraging because it at least meant that like that gene where we take a beating and still make a comeback, it's still alive. Like we can still do that. We are now that club that plays at 100% every day of like 38 weeks in a league. That's more like Barcelona. They are more philosophy system oriented. So we will have these ups and downs, but like games of these are very important to us. Like it'll help build our confidence. It'll help us play better the next few games. So yeah, like overall this month has been shaky up and down. But yesterday's result, I hope it gave a lot of confidence to our players because we'll need it. We will need it this month. Like this month, I feel like we'll decide if we have any shot of winning La Liga or not. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see how.
Exactly, like there are so many crucial games coming up, and it seemed like we were in a disarray even in the dressing room, and then some players had some negative comments. But we'll get into that. Before we do, we need to preview our opponents. So San Mames, Bilbao, like it's a really strong team. Initial
Mm.
thoughts, Vishal?
Yeah, we should be worried for sure. I think before we broke for World Cup, Athletic Club was the highest pressing team statistically in Europe, period. Not just Spain, Europe. The number of high recoveries in the opposition half. Like I saw their Copa del Rey game versus Espanyol. The way they like just converge on people on the ball, like it's crazy. Like the moment you regain possession, there's four or five of them just coming towards you and marking other passing options. So it remains to be seen if they'll be that aggressive versus us, but I think they will be. That's their best way of playing. They've had a lot of success. At the same time, their finishing has let them down like massively. They're known for recovering the ball a lot in the opposition's half, which means they are going to create a lot of chances of danger, but they don't always put it in the net. So that might be something that works for us, but it will be a test because they press really well and they attack very fluidly. They have very good patterns. Valverde has drilled in a very good side. They know how to play with the ball. They definitely know how to play without the ball. So yeah, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be hard. It's going to be one of those games which we will have to grind out a result. I'm very sure. Like it'll have to be one of those tight matches. Only because yeah, I don't think they're going to score that many goals either. So the game won't open up too much. I feel, but a lot of crucial battles here and there which we have to navigate and hopefully win.
Absolutely. And similar to us, what gives me hope is that after the new year as well, they've had a bit of a drop off, but in all fairness to them, they've had to face really good opposition in the form of Real Sociedad, in the form of Real Betis, where they drew. They did lose against Real Sociedad. And do you feel like they are coming into this game with a bit of less form than before the World Cup, or
I if I had to say, I think they're fine. They're okay. Like you said, two difficult fixtures, right? Not easy fixtures at all. So they did well in both games, I thought. I mean, Betis, they were all over Betis. Like, and that's not easy. Betis is so comfortable on the ball, so good, technically sound players. Like they know how to deal with pressure. But they were all over Betis, regardless of the result. And Betis just had no clue what to do. So if you can do that to Betis, I think you can do that to us if we don't handle it well. But yeah, that's just what they are. I feel like they have a system, results or otherwise, they're gonna play that way, and we're gonna have to deal with it basically. That's coming regardless of I guess results, recent form, etc.
exactly. And seems like the spot for the European spots in La Liga are heating up, like Betis, Sociedad, Athletic Club also, all battling it out. Do you see this Athletic Club team at least qualifying for the Conference League?
Yeah, I see them finishing that at least that high for sure. Um, Maybe not CL spots. I think the only reason they're not in like major conversations is because they haven't been putting the ball in the net. That's pretty much the only reason. On every other account, they've been easily the most watchable team in La Liga. Like you can to get any neutral to watch them, they'll be like, oh, this is actually fun, right? So yeah, ball in the net might cost them like their overall where they finish at the end of the season. But I do hope they make it to like a European spot because I think when it comes to knockout football, they can like Valverde has. Like I think they as a unit they can navigate those let's say challenges a lot better than Atletico has in recent years, or I mean even Barcelona for that matter. So yeah.
Well, for all the viewers out there, like Vishal managed to see most of the like important La Liga games. And did you catch the game against Real Sociedad?
Yeah, but I don't remember it. That's why I talked about the Betis one.
Um,
I caught a little bit of it, but yeah, I couldn't catch most of the Sociedad game. But yeah, Betis was my reference mostly.
right. Yeah, in the Sociedad game, like what I wanted to discuss was Kubo's performance actually. Did you manage to catch like glimpses of him
Yeah,
at least?
yeah. I heard Sociedad was insane. Kubo is having a great time at Sociedad. We've had like really bad loan decisions with him before that. Getafe under ball, that's really bad. It's a very physical side. They don't keep the ball. That made no sense. Then you went to Mallorca, where 1 year was very weird. Then the I think he was there for 2 years or like two halves of the season. I'm not sure, but I remember one side of the season he did well. But still, Mallorca is not the club you want to send a good technical, like exciting, pacey winger to, right? And yeah, like now that he's gone to Sociedad, it's not too surprising that he's doing really well. But he is like that system as a whole is really kicking off, and he's thriving. He's thriving as like one of the forward players in the front too. So yeah, like I did watch like the highlights of that game. Yeah, Kubo's having fun, man. Like I'm really happy for him. He's finally having fun. Like two really weird loan decisions. He's finally.
Yeah, like people usually criticize Cooper saying, "Hey, you're moving clubs too quickly. You're not like, allowing the coach to instill his philosophies into yours." But if you play for Mallorca and then if you have to spend like 90% of the match behind the ball, you're not going to grow as a player. So it's warranted that he gets to move to a more attacking club, and I'm glad that it's working out.
And it shows exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it shows. So, speaking about our Copa del Rey, Athletic Club have also qualified for the quarterfinals. They beat Espanyol 1-0. It was a pretty straightforward game for them. And although, like, what I wanted to discuss was how good of a course they have maintained as a team for so long in La Liga, because they have the Iñaki brothers, they have Inigo Martinez, Muniain, Di Marcos, Unai Simon. A lot of these are like really core Spanish players, and most of them are from the Basque country
All.
uh, and from the youth academy as well. So I was hearing about the stat that against the Real Sociedad game, it was almost 23 players on the pitch that participated there was from the Basque country, and then it's
Yeah.
so if you look at it, it's like the anti-Real Madrid, right? We go for fancy like international players, while these
Correct.
clubs they try to maintain a solid core of their local players. And do you feel like that is a detriment to their club as a whole, or is it good going forward?
But I think that's an interesting point. I'm glad you brought it up. Yeah, Athletic Club, like they only have Basque players. They only have players. They only get recruit players who've been in the Basque region for all of their history, which means they've not made a single transfer inside ever, which is pretty crazy. But what's also crazy is they're the only club apart from Madrid and Barcelona who've never been relegated from La Liga. So to maintain those standards while only procuring through academy slash through let's say region wise concerns, it's pretty crazy. And yeah, Sociedad and Athletic Club, two of the best academies. Sociedad especially, like every year there's a new person who in the next 2 3 years just becomes on another level as a player. So yeah, it so Athletic Club you could always say it's something of a detriment because Sociedad at least does indulge in the transfer market. Like even though their teams are very youth focused, they will still go to the market and get some players. But I think it's a matter of pride for them. It's not they don't see it as like oh like we can't get other players. Like yeah, we are this team. Like we only have our players, and we'll do fine. And Madrid, as you said, is kind of the opposite. Like now, even with youngsters, we're going into the market. So many, Vinny, Rodrigo, etc. We're just going, Enric, whatever, right? So earlier it used to be like mostly experienced Galactico signings. Now we are also buying future Galacticos, right? So our focus is sort of in the opposite direction. Yeah, it's just one of the many things that makes like this league interesting, because these matchups are always like about this as well, like you said, like there's a club that stands for something, as a club that stands for something else. And yeah, it's just, both of them qualified for like Copa del Rey, Athletic Club and Sociedad. Very very lovely fixtures by the way. Like we drew Atletico Madrid, which I'm not too unhappy about. I think we could have drawn worse teams than that, or more difficult teams than that. But yeah, like really excited this season. Like everything's popping as far as Spanish football goes, and we have to navigate because the levels is going up and up.
Okay. And okay, I think it's time we get down to the specific of this match and
Right.
judging from their players. And I just want to start from the attacking lineup that they have. Has we've seen in previous seasons that Iñaki Williams, he plays as the number nine, as the striker, the first man forward. But this season has Guru Zeta kind of displaced him in the starting lineup, and Iñaki has dropped back down to the LW position.
Yeah, so Guruzeta has sort of come out this season, especially I think when the World Cup was approaching, like, he started scoring quite a few goals. So Inaki has been shifted out wide, which I think is a good decision because Inaki's problem was always finishing. He always does great runs, shoulders muscles off people, but when he's front of the goal, he's not quite sure what to do. So using him as a width option, I think it's very smart. That's what Valverde has been doing. I think he's identified that okay, like we need to try someone else to put the ball in the net. So Iñaki, yeah, Iñaki on the left, Nico Williams on the right. It's going to be the problem. He is having an insane season. Iñaki's brother, of course. Crazy season. He stepped up his game so much. Like this season, it's like we're seeing a different player itself. Very good in 1v1s. So who's on the left? Yeah, Mendy. Mendy does have his work cut out. Day after tomorrow, because Nico has a lot of pace and he uses his body really well. Like he'll stop, you'll stop, and then boom, he's just past you. So Nico Williams is obviously like a huge threat. Another threat I want to point out is Sunset, who plays as that and Oyan Sunset. Very very smart player, such a good overall all round footballer with final product. Like last season he scored quite a few goals as well. He can play in any position across the pitch, and you'll see him everywhere as well. So Sunset, Nico Williams, and Muniain if he starts, obviously another big problem. So yeah, like I would say, frontline is like again what I did say earlier still holds true, which is that they don't end up putting the ball in the net a lot, but that doesn't mean we won't be in uncomfortable situations because we might be quite on a few occasions.
Yeah, man. Just looking at the trends from this season, like even the weakest front line can cause problems for our defense, and I just really, really dread like what these guys can do.
Right.
Uh, and they did have like a red card in the previous game. Do you feel like that's gonna change their plans in defense, or I
Who was it? I kind of forgot.
think it was uh, Alvarez, Yuri Alvarez.
Yeah. If Yera is pretty big actually. So yeah, they might have to look for another centre back. I think that would be a problem. But overall, I think as far as Madrid is concerned, playing against Athletic Club does like to play a high-ish line, not a very high line. But when they have the ball, they like pushing it up. So uh, like Villarreal on some level, like on transition, if we make it out, right? Like that's the problem. The moment we get the ball back, they are gonna come right at us. So if we navigate those little steps, we will find space behind for sure. So yeah, like centre back, yes, Inigo Martinez is great. Yeah, I will be a bit of a miss. I feel I wasn't aware that he was on the right. But yeah, in my opinion, yes, like that is an important centre back to be missing. So maybe we might manage.
All right. And before we head into analyzing Real Madrid and how we came into the game, do you feel like Athletic have any sort of weaknesses that we can exploit?
I think the biggest weakness has been the fact that they don't, because I think everything else they've kind of sorted with. Like if because their press is so tight and organized, it's hard to play behind them. It's hard to even get the ball out so that you can think about attacking the space behind. So they do that well. They recover the ball really well. But once they recover it, the overall goal threat is kind of low, right? So now, obviously, that can get higher if our defensive structure is bad enough. But yeah, I would say that like their main weakness is that the fact that they cannot score, let's say, two to three goals every week, despite creating so many threatening situations. Apart from that, if we beat their press, we can beat their high line. So yeah, we have to beat their press for that. If we do that well, we will find space behind them. Their fullbacks, Oscar DeMarcos is good, but like I'm not too convinced about their fullbacks defending our wingers well. Um, and they tend to get forward a lot, so they might leave some space behind too. So we'll have some wide space to work with, but everything depends on how well we handle that press, or if they choose to come into the game like in a very high pressing philosophy at all, which I think they should because they're playing at home. So I feel like they will. How we navigate that might open up like opportunities for us. But
Yeah.
yeah, it depends on how both teams are up to on that.
It's gonna be like a really hard crowd also to play against. The San Mames crowd is like always so supportive, and then it's a nightmare
Yeah,
for opposition teams.
yeah.
And but regarding like the RB situation there, so if I got this right, it's Oscar DeMarcos who's playing the RB position. Like, didn't he used to play further high up in the pitch in before years?
I'm not sure. I don't really recall, to be honest. But I guess like did you read that? It says that I'm sure he
No,
did.
like I remember like watching like maybe 5, 6 years back. Still
Right.
the same players. Oscar DeMarcos. He was still playing maybe as an RCM, sometimes as a winger, and now he's I guess more aged, more experienced. So now he's got pushed to RB, and I feel like that could be one position where we could exploit with Vinicius' pace. So yeah, it's all about
Yeah.
beating that initial press.
Yeah. I think that's what it sort of comes down to.
Yeah. All right, let's go and get into how we come into the game. So we had the really good win against Villarreal. Was that a convincing win for you, like Vishal? Like, I know it was like everyone's calling us second half FC, but even in the second half, was the performance convincing?
Not really. I wasn't convinced by yesterday at all. For starters, first half they just rode us. I mean, it was really bad. First half, there was no going around it. The players didn't look up for it. The defensive line was weird. Like there was so much gap between the midfield and the defense. If you look at the second goal, no clue what's going on. They had acres of space to run between the midfield line and the defensive line, and Rudiger was horrible. No words. So I even in the second half, I don't know if we were that great. We were maybe playing well after like 70 minutes, 80 minutes after we got two goals in. Like yeah, then things started getting a little more fluid, culminating in that third goal, which was a properly worked out fluid transition move, which resulted in a goal. But even second half, fine. I mean, that first goal we somehow got it, I guess, and then it started. But at the same time, I also want to say that we're a very like scoreline based team in a way. Like at 0-0, if you've noticed, we don't really push that hard. We're like comfortable. It's been the case all season. But when we sort of go down, and if that first goal comes back in, then all of a sudden you'll start seeing patterns that didn't even exist till then in the match. You'll start seeing players like combine with each other so well, things just start happening. And so we're a very game state based team, or a very like somewhat scoreline dependent team. That's why I think we just by 70, 80 minutes we are playing the football we should have played all along, to be very honest. But yeah, I think it's encouraging that we're still like this. This was arguably our lowest point in the season so far. Like before, let's say before the CDR game, I think all of us were dreading it. Nobody wanted to play with Villarreal away. Again, it didn't look like something that was going to be good. But I think it's very good that we won that. To be honest, like regardless of performance, yeah, performance was bad, but like I feel like our performances are very dependent on the scoreline, and it's just a reflection of that. So yeah, I'm actually okay about how that went. I know we didn't play well, but I think it's more important to win a game like this long term than to like let's say worry about whether we played well.
True, man. All good points. Totally agree with that. And Like this is like one of the hardest games of this month because as you know we have our upcoming fixtures against Atletico Madrid coming up in the Copa del Rey against Sociedad Valencia. That is going to be a really hard game as well. Uh, and oh yeah, I was just getting a call from Sunair who's also hanging out in the chat. He did mention that Oscar Di Marcos was a CAM. Just showing it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And I just want to discuss like before we head into like tactics or the lineups, just the player morales heading into this game. So before the Copa del Rey, like we saw that um, we were kind of on a defensive mode, saying, "Hey, things are gonna improve." Like all of the post matches were reflecting that, and as soon as the game finished, like Ceballos had like a really good post on Instagram. Saying this team is never gonna give up, and Camavinga had a really good game, so he had a good post as well. But there were some players, had a kind of a bad game or who missed out. So one of them was Rodrigo, who got subbed off at halftime. And then, uh, do you feel like
Right.
it's?
That awkward moment.
Do
Yeah.
you want to like break down why that was awkward and why he got so angry?
Yeah. So I think Carlo spoke about this, so we know what happened. But like just based on the game, I actually thought Rodrigo was our best attacker in that first half. He was the only one who was using his brain, to be very blunt about it. Like he was
Oh yeah.
making good decisions. He was.
Vishal, hold
Yeah.
on. Is your like connection to the mic a bit loose or
Oh no,
something?
I'll go again.
Yeah.
Is this better?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Way better.
So yeah, I was saying, I felt like for what it's worth, Rodrigo was probably our best attack on the first half. Like he was really making good decisions, playing well, and the reason why I'm saying this because I understand if he was a little frustrated about being subbed off because like to my eyes he was clearly the best player. He must have felt good. He had a lot of good touches, beat a few men, made right passes and stuff. So I understand. But like I said, Ancelotti did clear that up. He said it like the whole situation was because Rodrigo didn't look at Ancelotti or shake his hand while leaving. Like even though Ancelotti did offer his like hand or whatever, like you know how when they get subbed off, you just shake hands and stuff. Apparently, Rodrigo declined that, so that's what Ancelotti wasn't happy about. Uh, I'm assuming he felt like a little bit disrespected or something, which is fair to be honest, which is fine. But at the same time, I think Rodrigo knows that if someone as nice as Carlos getting mad at him, it's probably for a reason. So I'm hoping he doesn't take it too badly. But yeah, I get it. Like this is just what happens when you have a squad full of good quality players. Like somebody like Camavinga is on the bench a lot. He had a great game, by the way. But we saw it with Camavinga, we saw it with Rodrigo, we saw it with Odegaard at one point, to the point where he had to leave. He had to straight up go for loan because he wasn't getting time. This will happen like when there's a lot of quality in the squad. And yeah, I mean, it's okay, but I'm actually glad it happened in a way. It's good, I actually like players being frustrated that they're not being played. Show it, show that you want to play. Like I don't mind that, to be honest.
Yeah, this is like a really good lead up to my next point. So yeah, like you mentioned, like it's always so encouraging to see passionate players, even like players like Cristiano. They're so motivated. That's why they don't like coming off, subbed off when the game is like hanging in the balance.
Right.
But there was one other incident in this game, like from a player who wasn't even in the squad because he was injured. I'm of course talking about Xiaomeni, who instead of watching the game at least, even if he didn't travel, like it would have been fine if he sat at home and watched the game, but instead he
Right.
was at watching NBA in Paris.
Yeah, I heard about that. That was like kind of funny. If I would just not tell anyone about it and I'd do it anyway, maybe. But yeah, he just did he post like there was a picture or something, right? That everybody was able to see
Yeah, it
that
came
of
out at
him there.
halftime that he was
Right.
there. Yeah.
Right. I don't blame him. Like I said, in the build up to the game, we were like, I don't want to watch this. Maybe he also felt that way. But no, on a serious note, like I guess he apologized and stuff on Twitter
He did.
right after that. So yeah, I think it's fine. But yeah, two like funny incidents for a squad that's supposed to be all held together by great man manager. Like two random incidents on the same day. I think it's quite funny. Rodrigo getting a little mad and so many just disappearing. But I mean, whatever. I personally think it's fine. As long as when he's back, he's doing fine. I don't really care.
Yeah, and then to be fair, like he did look really good in those pictures at the Paris Fashion
Yeah,
Week.
to be fair. To be fair, yes.
So yeah, it's all worth it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we can start talking about our lineup, potential lineup. Uh, I think just looking at our injuries, we still have Lucas Vasquez who's going to be injured for the next 2 weeks, I guess. Chaumini, as you know, is injured, and even Alaba is injured, I guess.
Yeah.
Uh, who else is injured? Players who should be back should be Modric and Carvajal.
Yeah, I is Carvajal back? I'm not sure. Carvajal was a drop because of uh
No,
like
he did
slight
miss
injury,
training.
right?
Yeah, I guess he
Yeah.
was just tired.
So Carvajal, yeah, Carvajal should be back. I mean, I think I don't know. Like we've been thinking about Vinicius Tobias for a while, but it's also like a very clutch part of the season, and I understand if he's not being fit. Like it's just a manager. It depends on the manager, right? Some managers. When if Solari was here at this point, he would have played Tobias, he would have played Ariba and everyone. But it's just what comes with the package. So I don't know. Maybe we'll see Carvajal out again. Yeah, like apart from that, absentees, yeah, Germany, Alaba, actually, in my opinion, are going to be huge absentees, huge misses. They are some of our
Okay,
safest ball players out of the pack.
Vishal, can you like
Some of
hold
us, yeah,
hold up the mic again?
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll do this. I'll do this. Some of our safest ball players out of the back, Germany and Alaba, and that would have helped so much against the press, basically against the very, very dangerous press. I don't know if I trust Rudiger on the ball anymore, or other aspects, whatever. But I don't know. I just feel like Alaba helps with progression a lot. Germany, the same Cruz being at a DM, okay, it'll help, but I'm not a fan of that. I'd prefer him at left center mid. It gives him all the angles to work with. So yeah, both of them are gonna be, in my opinion, big misses. I do hope we do well, and I'm only talking about like what they offer on the ball. I'm not even talking about what they might offer off of it. But yeah, on the ball to beat that press, both of them would have been very helpful. So as far as misses go, I think those are like big misses, more than let's say I don't know Carvajal or Vasquez and stuff.
Okay, and okay, yeah, let's head into the predicted lineups. So starting from the attack, obviously Vinicius is gonna start, Benzema as well. So do you think Ancelotti is like gonna teach Rodrigo a lesson and not start him, or is Asensio gonna start?
I don't know. I actually hope Rodrigo starts because, like I said, at the end of the day, he was our best attacker yesterday, at least in the first half. And that's important to me because we were terrible in the first half. I really like that he stood out as a good player among everybody else. So, like, I'd like for him to start on the right. Having said that, I don't mind Asensio playing in general. I think he's a good option on the right because he stretches our right side. He's a natural left winger. I mean, a left-footed right winger. So he likes being out wide and cutting in. When Rodrigo, Fede are on, they sort of push inwards, so we don't end up stretching the pitch both ways. So I wouldn't mind Asensio being there either. But yeah, I think Rodrigo like will probably start. If not Fede, but I think Fede will be in the midfield surely because we have like missing numbers there. So yeah.
Well, I guess that covers the attack, man. Before
Yeah,
we
I mean
like
Vinicius and Benzema are pretty self-explanatory.
yeah, unless they can't walk, they're gonna be on the pitch.
Yeah.
uh, yeah, before we head into the midfield, me, Sunaid, and Farooq were discussing like in the Doom and Gloom podcast,
Yeah.
saying that so these players are kind of getting complacent, right? Tony Cruz has no competition. Modric, these guys are playing their hearts out, but even Valverde, when he has a bad performance, like they're still gonna start him. And even if other younger players do well, they're still not going to get the starting spot. Do you feel like Kamavinga had a really good performance, Ceballos as well? So if they have a decent string of games, do you see them getting a chance from Carlo?
So I think midfield is like the problem area, to be very honest. Because we have so many options, that is the reason, and that's the main reason. It's not that Camavinga doesn't deserve to start, or Valverde, or anybody, even Ceballos, right? He was so good yesterday. It's just that when Kroos, Tchouaméni, and Modric are back, not only do I want them to start every game, I think it's the best move to do, right? So that's just what ends up happening at a club like Madrid. As I was saying earlier, Like there are so many good options for a manager to pick, right? And I don't think I'll blame a manager for picking like more experienced players in general who have shown what they can do long term. Um, because yeah, like if you just put yourself in that manager's head, maybe you would trust Cruz or Modric to drop a 9 out of 10 every single day, right? Valverde, I don't know. He sort of hides in midfield these days. Like I don't know if he has been as good as before. Obviously, the goals SS numbers will show that, but just his play as well overall. On some level, I think he's performed better on the right than in the middle. Even yesterday, I thought he was kind of hidden. Like he did recover the ball and all of that, but on the ball, right? Yesterday, only Camavinga and Cruz were showing for it. Midfield three, everybody has to want the crave the ball, right? Like that. If you look at Xavi and Esteban Busquets, they wanted the ball all the time. Like they couldn't live without it, right? So on some level, that's what helps you keep circulate progress, possession, etc. Fede wasn't doing that, so I don't know. Maybe Fede could also use a wake up call. As far as Camavinga is concerned, yeah, I don't know. I think I said this in the previous part as well. Uh, it's just unfortunate timing. It's just nobody was expecting Cruz or Modric to be this good. In fact, we were expecting Camavinga to like be a starter by 2023 at least, right? Like we were expecting that. But what we were not expecting is for these guys to still be this good. Kroos to have an all-timer of a season to start off when he was still playing left center mid. Modric still keeping those levels up, and also most crucially, Chouameni just somehow just slotting in very nicely for Casemiro, right? Especially first many months, like it was pretty decent how well he was doing. So it's just a consequence of being at a club like Madrid. I feel any big club will have like these things where some players are good enough to break through, but they're not doing it. It could either be because of the manager, but mostly it's just circumstance. So many good players, like you can only pick three. So yeah.
Yeah, so it's like if Modric and Cruz are available, they're going to be a shoehorn in the midfield. Choumeni is injured, so it's all about the like third CM, right? So
Yeah.
like I like to propose like an alternative solution. So you did mention these guys, Athletic Club, they like to press high. They like to win the ball high up the pitch. So maybe Fede is like not the exact right person we want in the midfield for this because he does not show up for the ball, and we need like an extra man in midfield just to get through their press. So would you start Ceballos at RCM and push Fede to the right wing position for this game?
Right. So one thing about Ceballos, and I actually think this is like true about him. When you give him more freedom, he tends to get worse. Like yesterday, he was so good because he was playing the cruise role. He was staying back. He was making sure the play just move forward, 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 forward. Yes, eventually scored that goal because he was in an advanced space. But yesterday, mostly he was circulating the ball. He was making simple, fast decisions. If you make him push forward, like I don't know if you know, I think it was 2 weeks back, some game, like he was basically playing like a Modric role and he was so wasteful, so confused on the ball, taking too much time, not making passes, etc. So if Ceballos is playing deep, I don't mind, but Ceballos RCM kind of means he'll be playing with Cruz. It might be fine, but I'd rather start like Modric if available. Fede, I wouldn't mind because on transitions, Fede is like very few others in our team. He drives the ball forward on a counter attack, and he always is looking forward for a counter attack. We will face a few counter attack situations against Athletic Club. So I'm okay with Fede starting, but I think you're spot on that Ceballos is a better ball player. He can be more secure on the ball. Fede isn't showing for it as much, like you said. So yeah, on paper I would, but I don't know if we see the best of Ceballos in like let's say a Modric replacement role. Maybe for that reason.
Well, man, I gotta tell, like, it's these things are like kind of unpredictable. Like, does Fede start at RCM or on the right wing of the? It's only Carlo knows.
Yeah,
uh,
sometimes you can't tell on the pitch also. Like even once everyone's on the pitch, Fede is somewhere. So
Probably covering Carvajal most of the game.
yeah, I hope that's not the case there.
I guess that's a good segue to discussing the defense.
Right.
So we have pretty much no other options in fullback position. So Mendy is gonna start, and Carvajal as well if he's fit.
Yeah, I thought Mendy was a little bit better yesterday compared to his other games. Like a little bit better. Defensively, maybe I don't know, not noticeably, but at least he was attacking spaces. He was making his way forward. He had a sense of how to push the play forward, which he has been missing for a while, not just this season. But I would like to see more of that from him. But yeah, Mendy, okay, at least he had a good game. Right back, I have no idea. I'm worried regardless of who's starting. It's gonna be like weird. Like Carvajal not on form coming back from whatever injury he has. I don't know. Nacho might slot in. I wasn't like too convinced by him. It was fine. I feel like against more structured sides, like again, if Athletic Club has a half like Villarreal did yesterday in the first half, like I would be worried about fullbacks, centre backs, how they position themselves, how they handle the problems that we are going to face, etc. So yeah, I'm more worried about the right side, I'd say. At the same time, left side is where like their right-sided threat is Nico Williams, biggest threat in this game for us. So that is also pretty crucial, I'd say. It's like there's enough to worry about in this game.
So yeah, like either Nacho. So there are two possibilities, right? Either Nacho can slot in for the right back position, or he can take Rudiger's position as a left center back. Do you feel like yesterday, like Rudiger was making like even more fundamental mistakes in defense as well passing out the back? Uh, like
Yeah, Rudiger, I don't know. I feel like there was this problem of seeing with him in the beginning of the season when he just came that like he wasn't being the aggressive centre back that we know he is. Like at Chelsea, he loved to push up, he loved to get take players on and steal the ball from them. But he was playing a three at the back at Chelsea. Here, he's not as comfortable. He's still gotten better. If you go rewatch the Leipzig game, you will see him like keep tracking back, giving Werner more space till they are near the box. Yesterday, at least he was like physically imposing himself on people. But the point is in La Liga, there's everybody has technique, bro. Like everybody knows how to keep and hold the ball. Like just you have to steal the ball at some point. You have to make the effort. He's not been aggressive enough, in my opinion, this whole season. It's not just about yesterday for me. Although yesterday, like you said, it was like blatantly evident. I think like Chukwueze took him for a ride on the left side for some 7 seconds. Like he was just left, right, left, right, left, right. Rudiger's trying to cover him, but that's the point. These guys have techers. Like they know what to do with the ball. So like if you don't steal it from them, they will either find the way past you or they'll just end up making you look like a fool, right? So Rudiger has to like learn to be brave again. He has to stick his leg in. It's okay. But at the same time, our pressing structure is so bad that I don't know if we can afford both Militao and Rudiger being like, let's say, Ramos and Pepe type aggressive centre backs. So it's a problem, man. And honestly, I'd rather avoid it and start Nacho instead. Like at this point, for sure, at that spot.
yeah, I would like to see that too, but us fans have been calling out for it like for most of the season. Because
Right.
we've seen how good Militao and Nacho as a pairing are, because they complement each
Yes.
other, but Carlo just doesn't see it apparently. Uh,
Yeah.
it is what it is. So probably Rudiger's gonna start tomorrow. He might have a bad game or a good game, hopefully, but we don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just hope as fans we get to see more of
Yeah, at
Nacho.
this point, it's become more of a hope thing, right? I remember when we could trust, but now it's just like I hope he does well. I hope he don't mess up, etc. But yeah, like Rudiger is a bit of a question mark right now. Like in my head, I'm glad we got him for free at least. That's one good thing.
Okay.
But yeah, so far, like if you'd spend money on him, it wouldn't have looked good, I guess.
And we also have Rahul in the chat. He's saying we are waiting man because he's an Atletico Madrid fan and he's,
Right.
he's
Oh, I
talking about the
wonder how
team.
he's feeling. Not a great season, I guess.
Well, he's always keeping up with the spirits. He always says Opa Atletico, and then he always has a good laugh in
That's
the chat.
that's awesome. I'm a huge fan of Simeone, so yeah, that's also a thing. At least I hope we share that, yeah, if nothing else.
All right, good to have you here,
Yeah.
Rahul, again. And I guess, of course, even in the Copa game, Lunin didn't get a shout and didn't get a start, and it was Courtois. So I don't see that changing in the La Liga game as well. Do you feel like that decision was a bit strange from Carlo?
Maybe, but I also get it. Like, it's just I think backup keeper is like the saddest position in football history. Like at least other positions you might get a shot, but the first goalkeeper always starts. If you're lucky, you get a cup game. But yesterday, as you realize, if the cup game's difficult, you won't get a shot there also, right? Like the coach might prefer to start the main goalkeeper because yeah, Villarreal thrashed us not so long ago. So I understand why he wanted to keep Courtois in there. We still shipped 2 goals even with Courtois in there. So yeah, I mean I think it's okay, but it's just yeah, backup keeper like very merciless position. You'll barely get chances. And if you do, even if you make the most of it, next league weekend it's still going to be the first keeper start. So yeah, I heard he wasn't like too pleased about it. I get it. I think he can definitely be a starter at like other clubs. He's so good on the ball. His distribution's insane. Lunin is very good on the ball. So yeah, I think he could be useful for like quite a few clubs if he decides to go. But yeah, I think it's unfortunate, but it was coming. In fact, I expected Courtois to start like personally because yeah, it was just Villarreal, and especially since we didn't do well against them recently. So yeah, I think it was kind of understandable that one.
I agree. Like it was a really crucial game in the season as well, and glad we came out on top. Um,
Yeah, more than
I
anything.
I guess. Do you have any other points that we need to talk about? Or
Yeah, no, I think I'm good, man. After this, yeah, it's just every preview we do is gonna be a little nervy because Sociedad is next. I think well, yeah, Valencia, right? Valencia's after that.
yep, and
So
then
and the cup
finally
game.
Mallorca. Yeah,
Yeah, Mallorca. Yeah, Mallorca. Fine. At least we can breathe a little bit. At least they won't be like an active threat like these three teams can. These three teams can punish us. We have to hope that our defense will hold and that our attack will shine for the next 3 games. Like hold on tight, hold on to your seats. Next 3 games are not gonna be for the faint-hearted. Yeah,
exactly. But the good news is that Atletico Madrid, Sociedad, and Valencia, we are all taking them on at home. So hopefully that helps. I mean, we've not been able to play at home for a while now, I feel. All of
yeah, right.
all of these games have been at away, and yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, right.
So all right, let's get into the predictions and try to wind this up. So Vishal, who's gonna win?
Right. I'm gonna be brave and say we'll win. Uh, I don't think Athletic Club is gonna manage to put the ball in net too many times. I'm just basing it off of that, the fact that maybe they'll score a goal. I don't see them scoring more than one. These are things that can come and bite me back, but yeah, I don't see that happening. But I think we will find space at the end of the day. If our midfield sorts itself out, if everybody wants the ball, like we said, asks for it, wants to circulate it, keep the ball safe. I know Kroos will be doing that. I know if Camavinga's playing, he'll be doing that because he showed he can do that against Villarreal. But yeah, whoever the third option is, like I feel like we've had major issues in finding a midfield trio in which all three people click, except for Kroos, Germany, Montes. Like somebody's always hidden, somebody doesn't give their best. Tomorrow we need every single number doing well. So I'd say 2-1. We go through, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's a really good prediction, man. For me, I feel like even though we say, hey, Athletic Club have these really good players, Nico Williams, Iñaki Williams, Sunset, we've been here before. Like we've been facing the same squad before, and I feel like Militao and Mendy, like they can keep pretty much Iñaki and Nico Williams silent all night. Because they've been here, they're used to playing against them. So it's all gonna come down to the offense for me, and I feel like we're gonna struggle there as well.
Mm.
But they're definitely not gonna put the ball in the back of the net, I feel, in this game. I don't know why I'm saying it because we've been having like a really bad defense, but
Yeah.
I just have a
That's
feeling.
yeah.
So I'm gonna
That's
say
good.
like a really uncomfortable 1-0 win is gonna be my
Yeah.
prediction.
That actually sounds very likely. So I hope that happens.
All right. So yeah, thanks for all the people who kept us company in the comments, Suneet, Rahul, and everyone else who's tuned in. If you're new here, consider subscribing because we are soon going to be hitting 500 subs, and hopefully for this year we're going to go to 1,000 subs. And along with that, like if you enjoy our discussions here, you can also catch us on Instagram, on Twitter, and you can follow us on our socials. The links are down below. Also consider giving a Real Madrid committee a follow on Instagram because they have some really good quality content. And yeah, you should give them a follow. And please do subscribe and send this video to your friends as well if you enjoyed it. And Vishal, what do we say? Hala Madrid.
Yeah, Hala Madrid. Let's do it.